So it's Saturday. My dad just sent me a message, and it finally hit him, and then he realized a big part of his life he was losing. And my parents didn't speak, and they were estranged for many years, and there was a lot of animosity and frustration. Neither one of them had the coping skills to deal with much that they did as parents. There was very much this this rift, this inability to communicate, and both being very hard-headed and narcissistic. I'm not going to candy coat that one, because in both of their cases it was always about themselves, but that's what happens with people who are wounded. If you don't find your healing, you can't mature into the fullness of your being as an adult. So when trauma abuse happens at young ages, whoever we are or individuals are, without the proper healing, without the proper coping skills, people to tell you it wasn't your fault. When you were a child, it was not your fault. Someone took something from you, and to forgive yourself first. That's the hardest part. People can forgive each other all day long. It's the part about healing by forgiving yourself. It wasn't your fault. You did the best you could. Nobody should have done that to you. I'm sorry that happened to you. Nobody can change it. But you can forgive yourself in knowing that you were innocent. And that once you can truly understand that you are perfect as you are, and don't feel ashamed. Just take that and turn it into a strength, however it is that you're able to. Because I truly believe in my heart we have these experiences to go out into the world and to help others. To show people, look, yes, I went through that, but look at how I came out of it. And my mom was all about being the phoenix rising from the flames. And a lot of stuff and information has been coming out that she never was able to verbalize to us. We were aware of it. We knew about it. But she couldn't articulate it because that would mean that she was afraid of, first she was afraid that we would reject her, that we wouldn't accept her or love her, which was very common. But see, when we put into words to people that we love and care about, things that maybe we are afraid that they will know about us, it's very courageous, but it's a lot of vulnerability. It's opening up that wound again. It's showing the people that you've been strong for all those years that, look, I'm not perfect. I'm afraid you're not going to love me anymore as I am. That I've been strong and this is my weakness. And we're afraid as humans that if we reveal, I know for myself too, if I reveal my weakness, you're going to use it against me. You're going to keep poking and prodding in that already unhealed wound. When in reality, we're meant to come together and to embrace one another where we're at. It's really easy to say people should take personal responsibility. But the most important thing to recognize is addiction isn't about the addiction. It's always about the why the addiction. What is it you're trying to numb? What is it that you don't want to deal with, that you're covering it up and distracting yourself from and turning away from? It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of vulnerability. It takes a lot of, you know what? Going back to that place, sitting with it fully, feeling it all over again. You see, what most people don't realize is when we're triggered into old pains and hurts, That's trudging up every single hurt and pain you've ever had, so that when you're triggered at that moment, you're going through every painful experience you've ever had in your life, and it doesn't feel good. And there's a lot of that coming to surface for many people. And I've been watching this with my mom for years. I wish she had had the courage to share. But even the strongest people are fearful that their loved ones won't accept and love them as they are. I've told her the other day, it doesn't matter. I knew. I didn't have to have details. That's the part about my mom. She was all about truth seeking. And most of it wasn't truth from her heart and her knowing. Most of it was asking others, because she didn't remember a lot of what happened to her. And she wanted to know, and I think a lot of that truth seeking to her family especially was because she felt abandoned and they didn't know how to deal with her. Back in those days, they didn't have therapists and people to come together and heal young children. A big Catholic family, sexual abuse within the family. It's the last thing anybody wants to hear, but it's prevalent. And it's a legacy we need to stop and heal, all of us. That even if you out there hear this message and you've been abused in your life, you are not broken. It wasn't your fault. And you deserve the best. That this may feel like the worst thing that ever happened to you, but the best thing that will ever happen is that you go within and see the purity of your own heart and the beauty of who you are, and forgive that young child that it didn't know any better. That for those of us who've become adults, I've had to do this because I also experienced it, not within my family. I'm grateful for that, but that doesn't make it any less traumatic. The things that I endured in my childhood, and also as an adult, that I repeated stories in different taking advantage of, different sexual assaults. When we don't feel worthy, things happen, and we don't necessarily own them as we let it happen. It wasn't meant to say, I said no, but it still happened. Doesn't make it any less traumatic. But the sooner we can sit there and forgive ourselves and not shame or blame ourselves, just see it as, wow, okay. And we're all going to find your own healing. And so, I know for my dad, he's been very, oh, your mother. But I also know he loved her. But see, sometimes even the pain of someone leaving you, like my mother left my father, I also acknowledge that was hard for him. And it was easier to focus on the negative things because he didn't necessarily want to look at the part where he felt hurt when she left him, because he couldn't help her. He couldn't make things better because she was still operating at that young age. You can't mature if you are still traumatized at young ages. Even, my sisters, where we've been working on healing for years, it doesn't happen overnight. But it takes dedication and self-love. We can talk about it, but can we harness it and nourish it? Can we truly give that to ourselves? And that the only way we can heal generations is work on ourselves. Don't put it on, let me take care of this one and take care of that one. That's usually the way that we've been taught, especially as women, that we should take care of everyone else. No, right now, everyone, all the women out there, all the children, and the men too who have neglected themselves. We need to stop. We have to work on ourselves first, because everyone else that comes into our space is not going to benefit from our wholeness if we are not accepting of it, if we're not embracing and bringing ourselves back to this place that there is no negative and positive. We are perfect as we are. It's just another experience, but I can't say that to somebody that doesn't understand it for themselves. I only know how long I have my moments. Obviously, I'm human. I have moments I look in the mirror and I don't feel good about myself. But I do work on myself every single day, and I'm aware of my strengths and my weaknesses, but I embrace those weaknesses now and turn them into my strengths, because that's all I can do. And I forgive myself. I don't need someone else to tell me or validate me. I'm the only one who can validate me. And that's one of the things in my conscious communications I think was the most important thing to hear. Number one, you're not broken. Number two, you only need to validate you to you. Nobody else needs to tell you you're okay. You don't have to explain yourself to someone else. If someone tries to tell you you need to explain yourself to them, that's on them. That's about them. That's not about you. And if you're in an unhealthy situation, look within and ask yourself how healthy you are towards yourself. Because that's one of my biggest teachers right there. That when people show up to me and I feel like, we're not going back into victim mode first off. How am I talking to myself? What is my inner dialogue? Because whatever I'm telling myself is usually what ends up showing up around me. And it's been a lot of humbling epiphanies through that. So I'm going to get ready now. My Auntie Barbara is coming, and I'm really looking forward to seeing her. Yeah. It's going to be a long day.
So I am... Welcome to Nebraska. I went through Iowa in a short little bit of time. I am driving to the Omaha Epley Airfield to pick up my Auntie Barbara, who is 2 years older than my mom, and I know they were close when they were young. She took care of my mom a lot when she was first had Jalais and Aloy. She was very young, and so it was hard, I'm sure. I'm going to learn a lot more about my mom in this process and this engaging, and my Auntie Barbara was my favorite aunt, honestly. I admired her because she always was very well put together and had everything, very, what I considered the perfect family. My cousin Danielle is also the same age, within a couple months of each other.
Slight right.
And so, when we moved away from Massachusetts up to Maine, it was very hard for me because we were close. My mother's side of the family has 9 children and grandchildren also. And so it changed the dynamics of not being able to spend time with my family, to be with my cousins. Who are the people that we grow up with? The first friends we have are our cousins. And so I missed having my cousins. I missed having my cousins in my life. And because to me, Danielle was like my best friend. And that was a tough time, being distant. Because then I felt like we were no longer close. And, you grow apart. So, yeah, this is bringing up a lot of old stuff. I'll try to say more later, but, So I'm here at the hospital, and I picked up my Auntie Barbara, and we went for some coffee, and we sat and we talked a lot. And I just left her in the room with my mom. She's older by 2 years. And something I wonder, not a lot of people are always open to healing and hearing about the family past and the legacies, the generational pains and hurts that are carried through. It's very powerful. And a lot of stuff is being brought to surface right now. I'm learning about things. I think we can be aware, we can sense, we can know, but maybe don't know the details or the information has never been fully presented. But you can have a feeling and a sense about things. And so a lot of information we're learning, I'm hearing. None of it surprises me. Knowing what my mom would say and speak of and what I witnessed and felt, because I felt very close to my mom. And I feel like I probably had the closest connection to her heart out of all of us. Being the oldest of the three of us, and having spent the most time probably with her. There are a lot of decisions that we're going to be making. And I'm very grateful for my Auntie Barbara to be here, because she's reminding me that there are times that when family comes together, there's not always going to be an agreement of what everybody comes to consensus on, that sometimes someone does have to step up and make the choice for all of us. Not everybody's going to be happy, because everybody's going through their own grieving stages and process. And I am concerned for my sister Lita, because my mother was her protector. She drove her everywhere. She would step in and advocate for her, because my sister's got a mental disability. She still has her traumas to heal. And I want to say thank you to all of you who are donating. This is helping us all to put in place things that my mother is no longer going to be able to provide for my sister. Some financial assistance to my sister is really, really going to help her. So I gave her some money as a result of this fund, and I can't thank everyone enough for the prayers and the support, because it's going to help us offset whatever costs are going to come up. We're probably going to have to set up the funeral arrangements, cremation, and whatever it is we come to decide. You don't know what you got to do until you're put in the situation. You got to make these hard decisions. And like I said to my Auntie Barbara as we pulled up to the hospital, when it really boils down to it, these are all opportunities. It's very uncomfortable. It's how we all take what we're presented and handle it. How do we respond? How do we react? Healing is a choice. Are we going to hold on to the pain and the hurt, the resentment, the old wounds? Or are we going to try to allow them to surface and process and feel them fully, and allow that energy to make way for solution, for resolution? Right? My mom was very much a wordsmith like I am. That's one of the many things she imparted upon me. Reading and words and seeing deeper into just a word. My mom's brilliant. And I think that that's what I see in all of my sisters and brother. The brilliance, all these different aspects. It's the beauty of my mom, and she's showing up in so many different ways. She brought us together for a reason. And it's showing us our resilience. It's showing us our unhealed pains and hurts and angers and frustrations, especially like the little things that maybe Mom pissed us off about. Because Mom could be very much like la-di-da, and I get to see that play out in other areas. You know, oh, it's okay. So confrontation, internal and external. People show up to you where you're at, and I'm getting it, and I'm watching it, and I'm sitting with it, and trying to stay as neutral and compassionate inside and out. Because this is huge. This matron, this woman, my mom, it's an end of that part of our lives. So just a quick update before I go to sleep. We finally came to some decisions tonight, and it feels a lot more peaceful. I'm really proud of both of my sisters, my two closer sisters, because I feel they feel more confident and comfortable with this transition my mother's about to make. And I'm really proud of them. It's very surreal, but I could feel my mother as if my sister just giving her that permission because she was afraid to let her go. And I could feel the weight lift when she finally felt like, you know what, okay, I think I'm good with this now. And I was actually able to capture some footage that I won't be putting in today's vlog, but maybe I could put it together because it was really sweet. We were discussing how my mom would be, and that she would be all about controlling situation anyway. And so the question of organ donation, there's a certain window of time to be able to donate her organs. If she doesn't pass within an hour of shutting off the breath machine, the life support, then her organs are no longer viable for transplant. And as a result of that, even if we decide to donate her organs, they're not available any longer after an hour. So, interestingly enough, my suggestion is that we can say we're willing to donate her organs, but she will have the final say. So that made my sister go, you know what? That's it. My mom's stubborn. We don't know what she's going to choose, but in the end, she's still going to get the last say, because she may decide to hold on for more than an hour. But at least we're all confident with our choice, and we supported each one of us, one another, through the process. And that's what's felt the most beautiful about this transition and this time. Is knowing as a family, everybody was able to be heard. And I know this doesn't happen often in many families, so I feel very blessed and lucky that we're just doing what's right for her. And the next steps will be probably setting the cremation and everything up
with or without the paperwork that we were confident she had, you can only do so much. So unless something comes to fruition, we're just going to move forward with the wishes we were aware of. And so thank you again, everyone, for your loving support, your prayers, your messages, your donations, your generosity, and just being present. And even just thinking of us. I love you all. Cherish those you love. And cultivate and harvest the love that you have with those who are still alive. Remember, heart over head. You want to be happy, not always about being right. We're in a time of healing. No matter where we're at in life, we can choose, always. So tune in for the next episode, which will be episode 39. I love you all.